I don't even know
Welcome
what
to
it is. What episode is it, Wayne? Take it, Wayne, baby. Let's go.
welcome to
Go,
Wayne's World and
bro.
Kelly, episode 35. Our special guest today, Suzanne Probus, Director of Business Development and Marketing with Ray Engineering. Suzanne, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. So excited.
Absolutely. Let's talk about how when everybody says, "Hey, you got to go talk to so and so because they know everybody." However, I found out that they don't know everybody except you. Tell us, tell us how all that started in the beginning when you started developing your career and where you're at right now. I know there's a lot to fill, but take it away. Anxious to hear about it.
Well, you're probably going to be a little surprised at this, but I actually am very, very shy by nature. So don't choke on your coffee right now. Um,
Wow.
but I am. I actually had to train myself and push myself to do networking and to go out and to meet people. So I'm kind of that type A personality, so I had to give myself a goal. So I created my own little technique, and I now teach and train other salespeople and other people that are fearful of networking, not to stand by, the cheese and crackers and water in the corner, to actually get out there. So I had to give myself a goal, and I started with 5 business cards, and then I bumped it to 10, and then I just pushed it, and I had to come up with something more about them than me. So I would literally, get myself breathing and walking into these things because I had to get out there and network. I was never in sales before, never had any sales training. Family needs forced me to get into that because prior to that, I was behind the desk administrative assistant. And so I just went out and did it and gave myself a goal and just started meeting people and found out that people are really, really nice. And most of my training, to be honest, came from the top people, the Zig Ziglars and stuff of the world. And I just kind of lived by the philosophy that if you help enough other people get what they want, you get what you want. So I kind of just turned into that talker, connector. How can I help you? That resource. And how can I be a resource for you? So they call me for anything and everything. And I don't know it all at all, but I typically know somebody that knows somebody that knows something. And that's kind of how I did it.
Suzanne, you hit on one thing I want to talk about. Kelly and I talk so much about our profession, and Kelly and I agree that sales, if you want to call it sales, I prefer trusted business consultant, but it's really a performance. So you started out in made who you are, and I will tell anybody I'm a compilation of stuff that I have read, videos I've seen on YouTube, to be able to put my personality together. I don't believe that sales folks are born. I think they're made. Some are born maybe naturally extroverted, but are you
I
in
think they're
agreement with
all
that,
born.
sales is a performance?
It is. It's a performance. And Kelly, I love when I go to a trade show and you and Kelly are there because your personalities are outgoing. And so you don't just stand behind the table and look at your phone and wait for somebody. You're out there talking and shaking hands. And that's really what it is. It's just be nice, meet people. And, everybody likes everybody once you get to just, know them. And that's kind of what I learned. It's not really sales. It's finding what their need is and then seeing if your product can service that need. And if it can't, find somebody else's that can. And that's really what it's about, is helping other people. And that's kind of what I did. And I've known a lot of property managers over the last 12 years. 12 years ago, I was in construction. I've done business consulting. I still do. I do mentoring training. I do it for a military base here locally. I'm going to be doing that in a couple of weeks. So I love to train. I love to teach. I love to coach. And I love to help people. So, property managers will call me up and just say, can you help me? I had one a few months ago, have issues with her fire marshal. And it's like, I don't know what to do. Now, that's not my gig. I'm in engineering right now. But it's like, let me see if I can make a couple of calls and help you. And that's what we're doing. Of course, now the hot topic with property managers, and, they all call me about Senate Bill 4D and what are we doing, what we got to do. And what's stunning is I talked to one 2 weeks ago whose board president had not even heard of Surfside or Senate Bill 4D or the safety bill. Yes, I know.
Wow.
So it's about education.
That's shocking. So do you know Jordan Goldman?
I don't.
I thought you knew everybody.
I I don't.
No.
Wayne just thinks I do.
You
I'm
know
in Wayne's
Dawn-
world.
You know
It's
Dawn
Wayne's
Miller?
world. We just live in it. You know,
You know Dawn Miller?
I do. Yeah.
And there we go. Wayne made me do that. He said, "Look, throw out some names that you might not know." Because
I actually did, Kelly.
So I was
Kelly's
actually
right.
asked to
I don't know
participate.
everybody. I really don't. In fact, I mentioned to Wayne earlier, I met some people yesterday at a lunch and learned that I only knew like 3 people in the group of 15. So it's great. I love meeting new people.
Now you know
And, you know, you
12
do
new
lunch
people.
and yeah, and you do lunch and learns hopefully to educate them. But I always get educated. That's what I love about that. You know, you're
Right?
teaching one and you have 3 back at you, right? So
Right.
I love that. I love learning.
Do you know Rockin Wellness?
No, but I think I want to. Does that say chocolate on it?
It does. And last week we had the co-founder of Rockin Wellness on the show. That means you didn't watch the show last week.
I did not watch it last. I'm so sorry. But you know
what?
what? It's recorded, so I can go back and I can watch it.
Yeah, you can go to our LinkedIn, and everybody go out to our LinkedIn and see all our past shows. But
There you go.
okay, I'll start behaving a little bit. Except for you're talking about lunch and learns. Next week I have the elevator consultants, Lawrence Bates, coming over.
Nice.
And you know, it's fun because we do lunch and learns and trainings. We had training yesterday at the L&L Palm Beach show, and then we actually have Lurch Bates coming over to our team to do a lunch and learn to help our guys with, you know, elevator consult or elevator details that would make them, you know, better at their job. So it's fun when you get to do both. Or, you know, we get to live on both sides. I always say that at our company, we're not a vendor and we're not whatever you want to call the other side. We're like in the middle.
Client. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're in the middle.
we're not a client and we're not a vendor. We're like in the middle. So it's fun. But I love how you're talking about if you can't solve their problem, you can find somebody who can. We do that all the time. I had people come up to me yesterday at the show saying, "Well, we got this issue." I'm like, "Well, that's really not in our wheelhouse. But if you shoot me an email, because I'll forget, shoot me an email, I will get you the right person." And that, I think that is so much more valuable. It's sort of like a Miracle on 34th Street. Was that the Christmas movie where he was at Macy's and he was telling people to go to the other department store? Santa was like, "Oh, you can't do that." And then their sales tripled. I don't care if my sales triple or not. I just like doing the right thing and not always looking at dollar signs at people. How can I make money off of you? And it seems like that's the same way you carry yourself.
It is. And you know what? There's so many business development people out there that aren't. In fact, I coached and trained one. I use her as my example because she went to this networking and she got all these cards and she started sorting her cards in front of me. We were doing a coaching session and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Well, I'm picking out the ones that I can do business with and pushing the rest to the side. If they can't give me business, I want nothing to do with them." I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You don't know who's connected to who. And there was one of the cards that had a really different, unique name. I'm like, you need to call all the cards, call all of them, email them, go, follow up. You can ABC, prioritize them. No pun intended with the name of your company there, but Wayne's World. And so she did. And ironically, one of them happened to be a landscaping company that the guy had just gotten a huge deal at a huge hotel that she was trying to get into for restoration. And so the connection worked and she got a $300,000 contract out of it with the card she was going to dump.
Wow. Yeah.
Lesson learned. Call all the cards.
I also want to go back to the trade show thing you said about sitting down and tables.
Oh.
We had the one in Palm Beach yesterday, and I was tied to my booth for a lot of the day. But I always try to, yesterday I did not get to lap the aisles, but I got to go through some of them. And there's people sitting looking at their phones. It drives me crazy. It's like, why are you even here? My legs were spent last night because it is a long day. And then you did the right thing. Guy sitting next to me, 3 guys in their chair. Oh, geez, I guess anybody's at the show, they don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, and then one was engaging with me, and he goes, "Oh my God, every person that walks by you knows you." And I said, "Well, first of all, because I don't have my table as a barrier.
Right.
I give a kiss to everybody that goes by because I give Hershey kisses." I said, "And I don't sit down." And he's, "Oh, wow, that's really great." And he said, he goes, "I know you. Where do I know you from?" And then he actually had LinkedIn with me before, and he knew Wayne.
Yep,
So
there you go.
Wayne's World. And then he goes, "Oh, you must be that other guy." But it kills me that you have these conversations with people and then they continue to do the same thing. I'd move my table. Pride has got to go right out the window. If you need to meet somebody, meet them, but you're not going to do it with a barrier. It's
No, I agree.
So how was
Suzanne,
your world different before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID?
Oh,
How you've done things?
yeah, see, I'm a people person, so COVID drove me absolutely insane. Having to work from home for 8 weeks. Luckily, I have a convertible, so I literally would take 2 breaks a day and just drive, for sanity purposes. I love the fact that things are fairly back to normal, and people are coming out, they're coming to lunch and learns, they're attending, they're having fun, they're shaking hands, they're hugging. It's great. So, but to be honest, because during COVID, I also am a licensed public adjuster. So I was locked down for 8 weeks, but guess what? So we're all the property managers and boards. So I literally signed up 4 deals in one Saturday morning in like 5 hours. I did 16 deals in 8 weeks because of it, because you could get a hold of everybody because everybody's stuck.
Right.
So that was a little bit of an advantage, but people still buy from people they know, like, and trust. And it's all about, building that trust rapport. And you do that by being that resource and such. And even like now, now I was a public adjuster, construction, and now with this engineering firm, property managers would just call me up about the state statute because they know me enough to know I'm kind of one of those weirdos that like follow state statutes and what is legislation doing, and actually went to Tallahassee twice. So I'm fairly familiar with Senate Bill 4D and now the new SB 154. So they're asking me about the changes. What do we have to do for the milestone? What do we have to do for the SIRS? And, I just help them out. I give them the information. I'll send them a copy. And I had one call me up probably about 4 weeks ago, a property manager, and he was in his car with another property manager. He goes, "I'm calling you because I know that you're either going to know the answer or you're going to know somebody that does." And it was just great. It's just fun.
It's amazing on how many people don't have the new statutes, sitting on their wall.
I know, right? But they don't. But property managers overall, they need to get combat pay. Wayne and I have talked about this before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're supposed to be experts on everything. How is that possible? There's just no way. And I love the fact that they use me as that resource.
All the board members and residents are experts on everything.
Right. Oh, just ask them.
You don't even have to ask.
That's true.
They'll let you know. And I find in the South Florida market, it's unfortunate that most of the boards won't allow their managers to be managers because they're in their space so much. And in the DC market, hey, DC friends, they really governed, and the property managers are actually able to manage the community. And it was so much more efficient. Everybody was happier. And the reason being for us in the 2 different markets was some are retired and some aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
True.
like, these people that are retired, they need to remember what it was like. And just, I think we could raise the level of everybody if they would allow that to happen. That doesn't mean they don't keep their eye on the ball as a board member, because you've got to watch everything. And I think that's extremely important. But man, let them do their job and don't nickel and dime trying to bring them in, which is great. I'm not what we're talking about this because none of us are property managers, but we do care. But we, one thing Wayne and I already say is, how can we make everything better? And, I think it's, as an engineering firm that you work for, here's a little tip from a owner's rep. Don't let your engineers be salespeople. Tell them, listen, if you're trying to sell, don't just say, this is what you need to do. Engineers are experts, but a lot of times they'll say, well, if you could just look at 10% and give us a report. 10% of your structure is not going to tell you what you need to do in Florida on your building. You might be able to get away with that in Chicago, but you're not going to get away with it here because our weather is so much more impactful on our buildings.
Well, yeah, and a decent engineer is not going to put their license on the line for something like that either. Understand that when Surfside collapsed, there's a lot of lawsuits and a lot of people, and their insurance policies had to pay a lot of money. So there's a lot of
40 years of neglect by the government.
Correct.
And that was the problem.
I mean, and it's a shame, but there's a lot of structural engineers that won't even touch Senate Bill 4D. They don't want the liability, not us, not us. I mean, our company's doing it, and we've been doing
Yeah.
it for 30 years. We've been doing the reserve studies. We've been doing, the structural, the whole thing. So we know what we're doing. But if it needs, repairs or replacement, that's what's going to come out of the inspection. And a lot of boards, you're right. That's something that came up yesterday in the lunch and learn. The managers are trying to manage. The boards didn't like the results of the reserve study. Well, sorry.
You have wants and needs. And fortunately,
Mm-hmm.
Tallahassee's making some really good decisions. I'm not saying their legislation's perfect, but they're making some really great decisions to force people what they should be doing anyway. I mean, it's you can't put a value on
You can't
life.
kick the can down the road continually and not have something happen. So I get what they're doing. It's just, it is going to be a lot. I mean, we're now sitting at 20 months before they have to have all this done, and they keep procrastinating. And it's the boards, and hearing the property managers yesterday, they're pushing. The boards are like, well, let's wait. Well, they're not going to be able to wait.
Right.
The deadline's not moving.
A lot of times they need to just make decisions faster, because slowing the decision is so much more expensive. And forget the safety aspect, because a lot of them are just looking at dollars. They're like, well, I'm not going to be here in 5 years, so what do I care about it? Why? Let's just put a 4-year roof on. And then some other companies are going out there and trying to take advantage of saying, okay, now let's make this building good for the next 100 years. So they over-engineer what needs to be done. And, that's not doing anybody any favors either,
No.
Hey, Suzanne, I want you to comment on some of Tallahassee's latest legislative rulings, as far as what I see continual constraints on public adjusters, contractors, the amount of time that Tallahassee says an insurance company has to respond. But yet I see the 3 Ds still prevalent: delay, deny, defend. Now you throw Surfside legislation. Where the hell are all the contractors going to come from? Where's all the labor going to come from? I mean, you can't just take all of this stuff that we've been doing with Hurricane Ian and the efforts that companies are utilizing to try and rebuild and get these folks to pre-Ian condition. Now you throw Surfside on there. It's like Tallahassee thinks, oh, just because therefore we say it, then this is the way it's going to be. There's the market realities of labor. There's not enough. Contractors. There's not enough.
Not enough.
PAs. There's not enough. And I'm just talking Ian. I'm not even talking about Surfside and about what needs to be done for the long-term play to get these associations, structurally sound.
And it's a shame. I mean, the delays that are going on, the investigations that need to go on. There were several articles yesterday again, and some of the news stations are now coming out now that it hit the Washington Post and stuff. Some of the local stations are picking it up.
I've never seen anything like it.
I've never seen anything like it. I've been through several hurricanes as a public adjuster and in the insurance industry and training people on insurance. This is the worst I've seen it. The delays in this one are worse than anything, because typically on the flood side, you don't see the delays. You're seeing it on the flood side even, which is, ridiculous. There was one I was talking to a property manager where the flood, now remember Sanibel Island, catastrophic, right? 10 to 14 foot storm surges, buildings totally destroyed. And the flood adjuster said that, in writing that they wanted to have them take the toilets, detach, clean, and reset. And the property manager's like, okay, what do you want me to do with the toilets that were blown off and are in the ocean? Any ideas on that? So, I mean, some of the stupidity by the insurance companies is just silly. But I do feel bad for all the people going through because it has been one of the worst delays. Public adjusters now, as of July 1, the laws changed again, where the policyholders have 30 days to cancel a public adjuster contract. That's the longest in any state in the United States, period. The end. It was 10. They went from 10 to 30. Kind of silly. They did add a few things for the insurance side of it and the insurance adjusters, but there's not really any penalties or teeth to that side, where there is a lot of penalties and teeth to the policyholder side, which is kind of bizarre. The new law allows the insurance carriers pretty much put anything they want into the conditions of a policy. So if you get a policy from this point forward, read it, which, 65 pages of boredom. That's kind of my thing, but the conditions in it is going to be ridiculous. I mean, they could literally put what we call a 60-day POL in there, which is a proof of loss. So if you get hit by a hurricane in 2023, you have 60 days to turn in an estimate and your proof of the estimate, or they have the right to deny your claim. So there's a lot of that going on. So you just have to be careful. And then yesterday, I don't know if you saw in the news, it was actually posted on LinkedIn about carriers not covering for solar panels. So here you're trying to be energy efficient, save on electric bills that have gone sky high. And Edison, it's on the news, so I'm going to go ahead and name them. The carrier Edison was going to non-renew because of their solar panels, and was actually on the local news, WFLA. So there's a lot of things going on. And of course, roofs, Wayne, Wayne, in your world, I'm sure you hear it all the time. I hear it all the time. They're not renewing condo associations because the roof is 11 years old.
Yep. Yeah. I'm scratching my head at all of this, just wondering where in the hell the companies are going to come from to put all this stuff back together again. I'm baffled by it. I've never seen anything like it. The market realities are
beware. Buyer beware, Wayne. You and I have spoken about that too. I mean, you're in the roofing. I have gotten phone calls with some of my property managers with roofers coming from, California, Vancouver. Please be careful. Check the license. Make sure they're valid for Florida, because you're right. There's not enough people and contractors to cover it, but add to that, there's not enough good quality contractors. So be careful. I think we're going to see, 3 to 5 years from now, we're going to see a lot of construction defect claims, because you are going to have a lot of roofers and contractors out of state that don't even really have a license taking advantage of people, unfortunately.
So Suzanne, what you're saying is people should hire an owner's rep.
There you go. That's exactly really for project management. Absolutely. Yeah, board of directors, God bless them, but they're not mentioning
is material issues. Because of COVID, we have a huge delay with materials. So it's
great point.
It's a triple-edged sword everywhere. I understand the insurance companies, because the insurance companies have been raped for years. So now they're trying to cover themselves. I mean, there's just so much going on, and I'm not a defender of insurance companies. I always tell people I don't like insurance companies, but you better have it. I don't like attorneys, but my God, everybody needs to have a couple good ones. For us, you got to have great associations attorneys that know their stuff, that know the laws that are happening and that have already existed. You need to have a great construction attorney on your projects, because if you don't write a good contract, it's not. I
agree.
It's going to go south. I don't care what you do. So there's unfortunately, because of what so much stuff's going on in Florida, there are some contractors coming in with just, they have the dollar signs going on, and that's it. Yep. And I've seen it. You cannot, and people go, well, we get 3 bids out and we choose the cheapest. Well,
that's real smart.
It's
not long-term.
It does not work. And when they hire owners reps, they're going, oh, so you can save us a ton of money? I'm like, we're going to do the best we can to give you a very successful outcome in your project. Yes, we watch the dollars and cents with serious scrutiny, but more importantly, we're making sure what the mechanisms are in the contracts and who we're hiring to do the work. And that is extremely important. And we also have to live in Realville. If you're doing an elevator model, you can't sit there and think that it's going to happen overnight, because
correct
the chip issue, and and you have labor issues. And someone goes, well, you always know a job's going to be delayed because of weather. It's like, pal, our contracts have that written into them from the get-go, and it's not to hold the contractor ransom. It's because we live in Realville, and we're going to set it up to where we're not going to sit there and make the contractor pay because of bad weather. But we're going to have everything lined up, and time, and everything's going to be based on the reality of what it's like to be in Florida. So, which is the best state. And if anybody's really talented at all these things we're talking about, the state's open. Move down here. and do
Yeah, we
business
need you.
properly
Yep.
and honestly.
Quality.
And there's plenty of money to be made doing it honestly, and I hope if you do it dishonestly, you end up in jail. So
Yeah, I
that's my
agree.
thought on that. I have no tolerance for illegal
Totally agree.
behavior in any way, shape, or form when it comes to this. But if you do it right, and then the ones the property management, the communities that don't want to do it right, and they want to get involved with that world, let them go.
Let them go.
Find somebody else to do business with them, and don't recommend anybody. So,
Yep.
Holy cow, time flies. We're about out of time. Do you have any closing thoughts, Suzanne?
My closing thoughts is to, just take care of people. If you be that resource to other people, even if you can't help them, money isn't the end game. I truly believe that if you help enough other people get what they want, you're automatically going to get what you want, because it works both ways. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people, and if somebody calls me and I can't do it, I can call somebody. But at the same token, guess what? I have all these resources I can reach out to too if I need something, whether it be for my client or an introduction. Like Wayne's been awesome. Is there anybody I can introduce you to? I've introduced him to a lot of people and a lot of clients because I trust him and his company. That's quality. Same thing with you, Kelly. It's that relationship, and the good people, the good contractors and the good engineers and everything else, they need to stick together and refer business back and forth and take care of their clients. That customer service component needs to be number one. It really does.
You got the good old
Awesome.
boy network, but then you got the good network.
You got the good network, period. Yeah.
And those are two, often they do not intertwine.
Yep.
So,
Suzanne, I'm looking
Wayne and I
forward
are
to
good old
seeing
boys
you.
now.
Yes, we are. Suzanne, I think the next time I'll probably see you is at CEOMC. I hope I get to bump into you.
I love the CEOMC. Those guys are great. And Josh and Mark are doing phenomenal. You're representing the communities. The Senate was, in session yesterday, and I spoke to Josh about that. But I love the CEOMC and the communities for sure.
Are you going to be in
Definitely.
Orlando next week or the week after?
The trade show? Yeah, the 26th and 27th. I'll be at both. Mm-hmm.
And
I'm going to stop by your booth to get one of those kisses.
No one says a word.
No one says a word.
Hershey.
Yeah,
I
no,
meant
I'm
the Hershey kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a beautiful old woman asked me for a hug after I gave her a kiss, and I gave her a hug. It made my day. She was so sweet. It was a doll. So Wayne, are you going to those two shows?
No, one of my clients has a national conference that we're going to co-sponsor, so I won't be for that. But
Fine.
but yeah. But anyway, again, thank you, Suzanne. Appreciate
My
you.
pleasure.
And I hope you both have a great day.
You too.
And remember,
have a fabulous one.
Don't
Bye-bye.
forget Galloway for all your purchasing needs.
Bye.
Have
Bye.
a great day, everybody.
You there, champ?
Yeah, I couldn't get the thing to end.